swear before he had like something that he left like fire trails or some, or maybe that was the slug one. That might have been the fire slug, dude. Ooh, a Porygon.
I got a Torchic.
Ooh, you got a Lugia too, bro.
Yeah, but this is like pre-buff.
Did Lugia get buffed in 2.6?
Yeah, more damage with the aura.
Damn. Even when I just had it the other day with 2 Porygons, it felt super fucking strong. There's like, I think I went the furthest when I had, I went the furthest when I had Lugia and the Porygon.
I feel like that was in 2.6 though.
No. No, like that time for sure. But just like yesterday when we were playing, it was only like around like 45 or whatever, remember? You said 30 or 25 and then 35 and then I just kept going. I think. Pretty sure that was
Yeah.
it, wasn't it? Ooh, I got a Mew, bro.
Damn, already? Still gotta wait.
I'm gonna go with Mew. Heal is just so strong.
Yeah, you should probably wait on it. Not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I feel like a sandstorm build this time, but with those frost or like the ice rock tanks, ice ground tanks. I mean, Swidubs.
The Pillow Swines?
Yeah,
Really?
maybe I'll do that, but with sandstorm.
What tank did you go last time you had Sandstorm?
I had those guys. I think I was Blizzard last.
Oh,
time.
you had like a Graveler or something. I remember seeing.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't know. I don't think I was able to do exactly the build I wanted. Doesn't Zubat have something good when he's upgraded?
It's like a poison attack or something, I think.
I'm thinking of the really old, in like the original Pokemon Defense. Zubat had armor reduction attack, and it was like 9 armor or something. It was pretty nice. But like as a range guy, it's kind of like the shark guy here, but like ranged attack.
Is doing this fucking attack. Maybe I'll get 1 Ralts too, just for a little variety of damage and it self heals.
Yeah, we haven't used Ralts in a while, but I mean he was supposed to be really good.
But like Porygon was never mentioned on there. Porygon just seems super fucking broken, right? Like hitting that many targets for that AoE damage.
I think like that DPS meter was kind of vague. It wasn't really accounting for a lot of the AoE type stuff.
Yeah.
Probably more single target deeps. Single target potential or something.
Keep getting Pidgeys. Fucking Pidgey. Chansey? Rip. ults ran away, bro. %20 damage increase for fire type and reduces water damage by 20. That's what Drought does.
Oh, you have it. Damage of all fire. Reduce all water. Yeah, that with Flareons would be sick.
Get like some Mischievouses maybe for the lifesteal buff. And some Glaceons to fucking... Oh, but does it give the enemies 20% damage bonus too, do you?
Probably, but I mean, if most of you guys are fire anyways, like, you're not weak against it. If anything, it'd probably be a boost. Okay, I got a Porygon with no Pokeballs.
Oh yeah.
No berries, I mean. Start a low level download on the go. Damn, that's sick. You got that guy ready. Yeah, I couldn't... It might be hard for me to even get that guy, you know what I mean?
Which guy?
With the sunny day, or whatever.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
That magma dude. At the shelf.
Oh, Turtle?
Like, you had him off
You're
the
gonna go
bat.
fire too?
I don't know, it sounds sick, but... See, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm just...
Yeah.
It's early enough. I could try that. Flareons are strong.
Those Houndours are dope too, because they can just like die, but they still fight for like 7 seconds, right? And they go like they have like 150% attack speed bonus once they're like in their like spirit form or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
once they die.
I've had them carry me like dying and then just killing shit.
I feel like I've been fucked up. I want to say Vulpix, Quirtle. I don't even know if I've ever seen a Quirtle.
I used to use the Houndoom a lot, and it does go mega, but I feel like it's not the greatest overall. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. It could do its job, but counting on it to like kill stuff after it dies sucks, because sometimes like if he's not close enough, it just won't attack. Mew. Nice.
Start stacking Flareons. Let's go. 2 Persians, 2 Flareons, a Chansey, and a Glaceon with the Turtle Boy. I feel like Snorlax is always a good bet for a tank, though. That sleep is just fucking good.
Got it. Yeah, maybe I can go for that. I'll try for a couple rounds to look for that fire guy that you have.
Damn, Kane's been in Discord a long time. Just chilling.
Yeah. So who was a pug in that Kara? Was it just the mage priest, or was there...
Mage
and
Priest,
three
Rest of
druid.
Druid.
Yeah, three of them, yeah.
Did you end up bringing that PvP druid?
Yeah, dude, it was sick. It was a sick troop.
Like,
It was actually our...
sounds like it. You guys are like,
fastest Kara.
oh, it was?
Yeah, as a pug. So it might
Damn.
not even count, but it beat it by like seconds, like less than a minute.
Oh, okay.
But still, like we weren't, you know,
Yeah.
we were just hanging. We were explaining a lot of stuff. I mean, we had 3 pugs.
Pumping.
Penny does a lot of damage on his shaman.
Hell yeah.
That's a new
Penny's a bumper.
That's a new main right there, right? Just gonna keep trolling him until he finally lets it sink in.
He just doesn't want to be a fucking shaman boy because it's you and J-Bone have to be his comrades, you know? You degenerates.
Yeah, Penny's been arrested more than me for selling weed.
Damn. Dude, my damage feels really high. With my fire boys.
Slugma, is that him?
No. You want Torkoal. The turtle. Slugma does like a fire trail or something, or like...
Was he good though? Maybe.
This that Torchic one seemed better so far. He's like fighting and fire.
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
does
the
like
triple
AoE
fire attack,
fire
yeah,
kick, yeah. Two Eevees in there too. I think that Magby's actually pretty good too. Maybe?
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
What's like a fire tank though?
Maybe that Slugma that I just sold. He might be kind of tanky.
I thought you got the Slugma.
I got him. I just sold him so I can get torching. Combustican.
Killing these meows. I already have 3. Don't want to get stuck in that fucking
Oh yeah.
Persian
good call.
army again.
Good call. Good call. I'm getting ready to.
Temptation's just too strong, right? Shit, maybe I should just do the Persian. Next thing you know, it's deep and you're getting smoke. Oh shit. You can upgrade Combuskin into Blaziken for 420, bro.
Hell yeah, blaze it. Yeah, I'm on that same stage actually. 420 blaze it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do him next round, I think. Yeah, fuck, I'm still kind of pumping, I think. I might wait one more round, see if I can get some better interest going here. Sort of cinematic adventures are going on when we become Pokemon Masters, Simon.
just got a chance to.
Oh yeah. Dude, I pumped that round.
I definitely like zoned out when I leaked 4 because I don't remember it.
I wonder if this turtle's supposed to be tanky because he's number 1. Same as so he's like one of the tanks, right?
Turtle.
That's definitely what that number means too. I'm pretty sure because if you look at like Snorlax and shit, he's a number 1 as well.
No, it just means if he's focused early or late, like value. I'm pretty sure because
I think that's like tank, like priority of attack or whatever. I think that's what I think anyway.
yeah, maybe. Okay, so I guess we'll find out.
Right, because you would like it says the turtle guy's low priority, but you would assume that the like him having the like fire buff would make him good late game, right? I think.
I don't know. I've thought about it for a long time, and like, there's no.
Yeah,
it's hard
I'm
to
on.
test to be
I go
certain.
back and forth on it. So
Yeah,
much.
it's hard to like. It's hard to know for sure, you know.
I'm blazing it, bro. 420 blaze it. Let's go.
So many Cyndaquils. I want to get that fire damage, dude. I might go normal for now, a little bit longer.
I'm still on the normal turn. I want to try and get one more EV, I think. Then I'm gonna go fire. 3 Porygons in the stable too, though. Maybe that's what you got to start doing later. Is you just need to like have options and need to look at what's coming. Like, I don't know.
Leave like a lot of good stuff in your den, and then kind of swap
Yeah.
around per level.
Yeah.
That might be the play.
Something? I don't know. Because I swear I looked and it said like level 200 something. It's like the record of like, not obviously not
I
ours.
mean, like, we are on slow, so once it gets harder, we should try and look into stuff like that.
Oh shit, I'm gonna leak on this one, I think. Snorlax sleep? No, rip.
Oop.
Should have
Down to
upgraded. Fuck.
Same levels as me. Lives, I mean.
Oh, maybe they're gonna rip. No. Fuck, I was getting greedy. I have like fucking 4,000 gold right now. Oh, there's the EV. It's weird how you don't have to turn on the turtle's weather effect though. It's just on. The other ones you have to turn on, right?
Interesting.
Oh, I switched.
I mean, I guess because this one can't really harm you. Or maybe I guess.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
true.
It's not like, yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, it could harm you a little bit if you have a lot of water guys, but. Damn, so many of your flames were poisoned and died. Or I guess 2 of them, but like, yeah, they got dotted.
Killing off some of my fucking Persians.
Caught my Mew.
Oh shit.
And I actually tried to catch an Entei and failed. But I had another legendary in my den.
Oh yeah.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
Charizard, bro. He died, but I got him.
Our warriors have engaged the
Just
enemy.
gonna keep leveling up my Mew, max out the. Didn't it say Litwick was good somewhere? Thought we saw
Which one?
Litwick, the candle.
Oh, I kind of vaguely remember something like that, but I don't remember.
I feel like we saw something about him somewhere. Can't remember anymore though.
Alright, we'll listen to more Voices of the Past. That YouTube channel that we listened to where the guy went to Japan before, but now we're gonna hear a Japanese guy come to America in the 1800s. Or like 1700s actually. This is like, he was around during like Civil War and shit. Or what was it? When was that? At least I have an excuse because I'm not American, so I'm allowed to not know the exact year. Yeah, 1800s, okay. First guess, before I second guess myself.
Ooh, I got a second legendary now too, Entei. Let's go. Rip, ran away.
Smoke caked our bodies and flew into our eyes. When darkness fell and we
Try this
reached our
Litwick
hotel
character.
rooms, we scarcely had time to wipe off the dirt before it was time for the next banquet. We wore out our eyes and our ears at theaters. No sooner did we go to bed at night than it was time to wake up, with representatives from the next factory awaiting us. As a result, many marvelous sights and unfamiliar...
What is that? Can take a maximum of
Day by
10%.
day, however,
His maximum
bodies
life
and
is
nerves were
damage.
exhausted, and we became weary of splendid dinners.
Then
We wished just once to enjoy
I don't
the
know.
simple
I don't
pleasures of
understand
drinking
It's
plain
weird
water
because it also says
and
max
lying
100
with our
damage.
heads pillowed.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
because that's what his max
to do
is.
so would have damaged our relations with these
So
other
he can
countries.
he's gonna survive at least 10 hits.
I recall
It's the max
the
they can do is
wonderful
10% of the
sights and
damage
sounds we saw
per
and
hit, I
heard
guess.
on our
But
travels
he's
to
weak.
some of the most distant parts of the earth. With the passage of time,
It's kinda
those
weird.
memories now seem like images of splendid mountains engraved in my heart. Our travels are already fading into a fleeting dream, and our hardships are like wounds which have already healed. My thoughts
Like
and
been
feelings
fucked
at this
up by
time
Vulpix
may only
before.
be appreciated by those who have experienced a similar lengthy journey.
Flame Burst has 4 charges. Whenever Ninetales attacks, consumes a charge. When attacking with a charge, 2 sparks are fired at the target, do damage.
The America was 363 feet long, 57 feet wide, and 23 feet deep. We moved out of Yokohama Bay and sailed along the Boso Peninsula and through the waters off Sagami and Izu. We could see snow on the slopes of Mount Fuji, glittering. in
Rip, the
distance.
slug ran away.
The scenery was magnificent.
Rip, that ran away.
We all looked back nostalgically, feeling sad to be leaving the landscape of Japan behind. At first light this morning, the sea fog was so thick that we could not distinguish objects which were only a foot away from us.
We're at that
As the
point
sun
now in the
rose
game
and
where
the
we're
mists
OP.
began to lift, we could distinguish the mountains of California ahead. Our ship advanced slowly. Directly to the east, 2 mountain ridges parted to reveal a great...
Dude, I had a Pidgey hiding under that rock.
This was the celebrated
Rip,
Golden
the Magby ran away too.
In our 22-day voyage across the Pacific Ocean, this was the first land we had glimpsed east of Japan. Words are inadequate to express our pleasure as we gazed upon this golden gateway, where sea and sky meet directly to the west and coastal mountains rise on both sides. This video is sponsored by Magellan TV, the documentary streaming service.
So, Coco's quite insistent.
Oh wow! I tried to pause that and I played a song called Pause.
Whoa. I saw you do that.
Yeah, I had to clear it
Got
after.
it, I need to unmute it. Jeffro was playing some wild shit earlier. and I
Okay,
muted it.
I'll do it on stream.
Really?
He was playing like one of his crazy, like where it sounds like someone held their phone next to the speaker or something, where it just like feedback. Something about like chopping dicks off or something. I don't know. It was wild.
Our bodies and flew into our eyes. When darkness fell and we had reached our
I'm
hotel
streaming
rooms,
instead. It
we
has
scarcely
like a
had
kind of
time to
background
wipe
video
off
to
the
go with it.
dirt before it was time for the next banquet. We wore out
just
our
restarted
eyes
it.
and our ears at
This is a good
theatres.
one.
No sooner did we go to bed at night than it was time to wake up, with representatives
Voices
from the
of the
next
past.
factory awaiting us.
So this
As
is
a
like a
result,
journal of
many
a
marvelous
Japanese guy in
sights
like
and unfamiliar
1800s who
sounds
came to
filled our
America
days.
and he was around during the
Day
Civil
by
War.
day, however, our bodies and nerves grew exhausted, and we became weary of splendid dinners. We wished, just once, to enjoy the simple pleasures of drinking plain water and lying with our heads pillowed on our bent elbows. But to do so would have damaged our relations with these other countries. As I edit these volumes, I recall the wonderful sights and sounds we saw and heard on our travels to some of the most distant parts of the earth. With the passage of time, those memories now seem like
Who
images of
makes
splendid
Kindergarten?
mountains engraved in
Japanese
my
historian,
heart.
author of text.
Our travels are already fading into a fleeting dream, and our
Oh shit, I
hardships are
leaked.
like
'Cause I didn't
wounds
upgrade
which have
enough.
already healed.
Right.
My thoughts and feelings at
6K.
this time may only be appreciated
Damn.
by those who have experienced a similar lengthy journey. Our ship was called the America, reputed to be the most elegant vessel in the Pacific Mail Steamship Company fleet.
Damn, look at
The
that
America was
16 ship.
363 feet long, 57 feet wide, and 23 feet deep. We moved out of Yokohama Bay and sailed along the Boso Peninsula and through the waters off Sagami and Izu. We could see snow on the slopes of Mount Fuji, glittering in the evening sun. The scenery was magnificent, and we all looked back nostalgically, feeling sad to be leaving the landscape of Japan behind.
It's kinda
Oops.
sick how
Fuck.
Japan has like a bunch of big ass mountains and shit. Like,
At first light this
variety
morning, the
landscape
sea
for,
fog
like,
was so
their
thick
islands.
that we could not distinguish objects. which
Oh
were
yeah,
only
Japan's
far away
dope
from
as
us.
fuck.
As the sun rose and the mists began to lift, we could distinguish the mountains of California ahead. Our ship advanced slowly.
Damn, dude, I'm
Directly
getting
to the east,
fucked.
two mountain
They got to
ranges
California.
parted to reveal a great natural
and then
gateway.
near
Yeah, bro.
San Francisco.
This was the
Got
celebrated
pumped.
Golden Gate. In our 22-day voyage across the Pacific Ocean, this was the first land we had glimpsed east of Japan. Words are inadequate to express our pleasure as we gazed upon this golden gateway, where sea and sky meet directly to the west and coastal mountains rise on both sides. This video is sponsored by Magellan TV, the
Now I can
documentary
skip
streaming
this.
service.
So, Coco's
Coco have a recommendation to our video. 30% off an annual. You can simply
30%
click
off.
on the link.
Damn, this thing has 30,000 health when I do his
No
trans
time we
this
had
other
disembarked,
transform.
climbed into horse-drawn carriages and been conveyed
Which
to the
one?
Grand Hotel on Montgomery Street,
Whoa.
where we arrived at 11 o'clock.
What is
Lace
that?
curtains on the windows give the impression
What was
of
the
looking at
starting guy from
flowers
that?
through a mist.
The
Small
little
rooms are
like
about the size
this
of an
like
8 tatami
owl
mat
thing.
room in Japan. The
Darumaka.
beds have mattresses with metal springs
even
underneath,
know what
but the
you're
mattresses
talking
are
about.
soft
Oh, right
and
there,
the springs do
Darumaka.
not touch
Wow,
the body
really?
directly.
Yeah.
There are
What
wardrobes
abilities
and
does he have?
chests of drawers in which to place one's clothes, and a basin where one can wash one's face. When one turns on the
Sorry, I had to
faucet,
dump a bunch of
clean
gold.
water comes gushing out.
Forgot I
I'll
just
look
got my
after.
dick kicked
Most
in last
Western
round.
hotels
Yeah.
have similar
I'll look
facilities.
after.
It will not be necessary to describe them all in such detail.
There's the fire
We
tank
was
right
only
there, I
imagined
think. Dude, look at him go.
Nine
Peace
Tails
cake,
is
that
huge.
entire
East
side.
and West are very different. Indeed, at times they seem to be direct opposites. Westerners enjoy social activities and public events. Eastern peoples tend to avoid them. This is not
I
only
think I'm gonna get rid of
a
my
result Japan's
chancy
policy
here.
of national
Having the view,
isolation.
it makes it kind
Eastern
of pointless,
peoples are
right?
also indifferent to wealth and do not regard commerce as a primary concern. Westerners like to go out and enjoy themselves socially, and even in the smallest towns they establish public gardens. Eastern people, on the other hand, prefer to stay indoors to relax, creating gardens within their own houses. From Utah Territory in the west through Wyoming lies the largest stretch of wilderness in the United States. Even with the train racing at full speed, we did not reach a major population center until we had traveled for a full 4 days. Withered prairie grass and thick scrub stretched away endlessly. Here and there we saw native Indians or their pit dwellings. Only every 10 miles or so did we see small hamlets consisting of 2 or 3 houses beside the track. Beyond the railway, rugged peaks continued for 1,000 miles. There was not the shadow of a single bird, although one may tire hearing about the vastness of the United States. When one experiences it, it is even more astonishing than one could believe.
The United
The
States
current
was so
population of the
big,
United
these
States
Japanese
is much the
boys,
same
they
as
already
that
got
of
on a
Japan.
train.
However, in
They'd
size,
never been
the
on a train
United
before,
States
and
is
they were on a
dozens
train
of
for
times
days.
larger. It is
Damn,
truly
did you see it?
astonishing how much of this land is under cultivation. It made Japanese farmers seem indolent by comparison.
Yeah, that's a rip Legolas right there.
When we arrived at the Arlington Hotel, we learned that Mrs. Grant, the wife of the president, had sent a magnificent bouquet of fresh flowers for Ambassador Iwakura. The bouquet was reported to have cost $300. Such a gift represents great tribute in the West. At noon, we were granted the honor of a formal state reception, at which we presented our credentials to President Grant. The president's official residence is located very close to Arlington Hotel, merely 1 square away to the west. It is known as the White House, and presidents
is
live
known
here from
as
day
the
of their
White
inauguration until the end of their term of
I
office.
love hearing it from
The
these
laws of
Japanese
the
guys'
United States are
perspective
very
from
relaxed,
1800s.
especially so in Washington. Even foreign visitors are permitted easy access to the White House and allowed to go sightseeing
Even foreign
freely,
visitors are
unhindered
permitted
by
easy
guards.
access to the White House.
Americans smile rather scornfully about European palaces
Yeah,
and
they're
other
shocked
sites
to
where
see the free
soldiers
country, dude,
guard
and
the
they gotta
premises
slave.
and forbid entry to the
Really?
common people. They think this is a very antiquated,
Yeah.
undemocratic custom.
Well, the Japanese guy's saying he gets the vibe that these
We
Americans
visited
think
a
that
college for black
all the
students.
guards around royal
The recent
palaces in
conflict between
Europe
the North
is
and the
like
South
an
erupted during the
antiquated
debate
form
over
of
the emancipation
democracy,
of black
and they're
people
just old
from their
school over
manacles
there,
of
and like,
slavery,
they haven't got learned
which
yet.
fled into a great war. Blood
I feel the
flowed
last
for
one
4
myself, but yeah,
years
that's
until
pretty much
eventually
what he
the
said.
issue was settled, and for the first time, black people gained the freedom enjoyed by other Americans. However, because they had been made to labor like horses and oxen, they were regarded as ignorant and uncultured. Even today, there is still a tendency for white people to feel shame about associating with them. For this reason, public schools have been established so that black children can receive the same education as white children, even though their schools are separate. Slaves were emancipated, and for the first time were recognized as human beings. This, however, did not bring greater contact between the races. The separation between white and black people is as distinct as that between clear and muddy water. Some black people achieved freedom early on. Other outstanding black people were elected to the House of Representatives, and still others have accumulated great wealth. Clearly, the color of one's skin has nothing to do with intelligence. People with insight have recognized that education is the key to improvement. It is not inconceivable that, within a decade or two, talented black people will rise, and white people who do not study and work hard will fall by the wayside. At 11 o'clock in the morning, escorted by General Myers, we visited the United States Post Office. We were next shown the sorting and delivery department, where postal workers sort all the letters posted in the city's mailboxes. When one buys anything in a European or American city, as soon as the price is settled, the clerk requests the address where the items to be delivered. When we asked clerks to have the parcels sent to Japan, they always complied. We send details of the purchase by mail or telegram to inform people in Japan about the shipment. Even though it may take a number of days, the items will be delivered to one's home. When Japanese people think of the West, they imagine some distant galaxy. When Western merchants view the world, however, they see it as a single city. With this attitude, they cannot fail to prosper. From the earliest days of intercourse between the East and the West, the two have not really understood each other, since they have totally different outlooks, with the customs and character of the one the opposite of those of the other in every respect, down to the smallest detail. Since our embassy embarked on the American ship in Yokohama, we have been journeying through a realm of foreign customs, and just as our behavior is surprising to the Americans, their customs seem baffling to us. Among these differing customs, by far the strangest was the social relations between men and women. In conjugal and family relations in Japan, a wife is dutiful to her mother and father-in-law, and children show respect to their parents. In America, however, it is the custom for the husband to serve his wife. This may involve carrying her lantern or shoes, offering her delicacies, dusting off her garments, helping her when she boards or alights from a carriage, pushing her chair forward when she sits, or carrying articles for her when she is walking.
Are you watching this
If the
trip or no?
husband senses even the slightest displeasure from his wife, he demonstrates his love and respect by bowing
I found
and
this YouTube channel
apologizing.
today. I thought it was pretty cool.
If the apology is not accepted, he may be sent out of the room and cannot even eat. When men and women are travelling in the same carriage, the men stand immediately to offer their seats to the women, who take them without hesitation. While women are present, men are circumspect in their behaviour, speaking softly and avoiding cursing and argument. If these rules of behaviour were to be transplanted and replace our forms of filial duty towards our parents, that would represent a great improvement. Broadway is the busiest street in New York City, overflowing with carriages, horses and people on the cobblestone surface. This is the most crowded street in the world. In our hotel rooms overlooking Broadway, the din was at times so loud as 100 thunderclaps, or a gale blowing at full force through a forest of pine trees. Accompanied by guides provided by the New York City government, we visited the Astor Library. From there we went to the Bible Society. This society was established with donations collected from those who wanted to spread the Bible's teachings throughout the world. At that time, the book had already been translated into 30 languages. Not only does everyone in America own a copy of the Bible, which is kept in each home, but if people go away on a journey of a few weeks, they feel obliged to take it with them. It is especially revered by women. If the owner is wealthy, the book may be lavishly bound and decorated with gold and jewels, and some spend no expense in adorning their Bible.
Yeah, dude.
The Bible is the sacred book of the West, and the basis of
Our
the people's
infrastructure
morality.
falling apart
It is
all over
veneration
the
of
fucking
God which drives
Canada.
people
These
to work
Japanese
hard.
guys were tripping
Behavior
out
is the basic
at how many
element in
Bibles
maintaining order in
the
society,
American people
and
had
gives
back in
rise
the
to the enrichment
1800s.
and
Yeah, I bet it did
strengthening of the
freak them out.
country.
They were like, what the fuck is
It
this
is like
shit?
It was this
Yeah.
religion stuff, and they're like, everyone has a Bible,
Thus,
and
when
he's like
Western people
confused.
talk
He's like,
about a nation and its
even
character,
these Americans,
they
if they're going to
always
leave on a
discuss
journey for
religion.
greater than a few days,
When
they
a
feel
foreigner comes
obliged
to
to
their
bring their
country,
Bible
they
with
always
them.
ask what religion he observes and what God he worships.
Where's your
When they
Bible,
meet someone
Simon?
who professes no faith, they think of him as a
Fuck them in
Actually,
their
I have it on my
February.
phone
or a
because
heathen from the
this is,
wilderness.
Gandhi ass
They
motherfucker.
become wary
I
of
have an
him
app.
and
I
sever
got it.
all social relations.
What is the Japanese?
They tend to
Japanese
think
don't
that
even
a
have a
person who does
religion,
not
do they?
have
They're
a
just
religion
samurai and shit.
will
But not
not
really. They had like they
for
burned like kind of prayers that float in the air. Then they like didn't
When
want to
we
eat
read the Old and
animals
New
for a
Testaments,
while
which
because they
Christians
thought you're gonna
respect,
eat your
some
family
parts
members.
contain
No, that was
unbelievable tales
Tibetan monks
of
and
voices
shit,
from
wasn't it?
No,
heaven
but they
who
kind of
relate
thought
the
that too in
resurrection of a
Japan
crucified criminal.
for a while. It
Thus,
wasn't
the Bible
until
can easily be dismissed as the
they were like
writings of a
forced to
lunatic.
be open
We
into
were
the
suspicious
public
of the
trade
tears of
market
those who
that
prayed before a man condemned
the
to death for
shogun
heresy.
of
and their
Japan
claims
said.
to
Yeah, they have
serve
that
as
like
celestial
Kobashi
king.
beef or whatever
Every
it's
city
Oh
called.
yeah, they were all
West has
about it. Like
images of
once they
this
were like
Yeah.
open
man
trade
being
with
taken
American
down from a
stuff,
cross.
their
With
emperor
streaks
or
of
shogun
blood
at the
running
time,
down
whatever it
his
was,
body,
persuaded
These
them
images
that
are
no,
hung
you're
on
allowed to eat
walls and
meat.
placed in
They
the
weren't
corners
even
of
eating meat
rooms,
for like
giving
250
the
years
impression
before
that
that.
one is passing through a cemetery.
You still
or
pumping
lodging
or
at a
what?
place of execution.
No, I died. Hosted a
Is
new
this
one
not
called
a
2.5.
strange custom? Yet Westerners think it's strange that
How'd the
people in the
firework
East have not accepted
Failed
Christianity.
you, obviously?
I couldn't
Even
get that
rational
guy I
people,
wanted with
well-versed
the
in world
buff
affairs,
that you had,
urged us
and then
to display these
I
images.
was just like watching
What is their
this Netflix
intention?
video or this
Western
YouTube video.
people are sincere in worshipping
while I was
God and
half playing,
practicing morality.
because I knew you were ready to
They're
see it, and
hard-working
I don't know.
and strive
just
to
kinda waiting
cooperate
around.
with one another. The root of this cooperation is to be found in religion. So
Yeah,
it
the
cannot be
Japanese guys
explained
did
simply
really
in terms of
respect
form
a lot of
and
the
theory.
benefits of Christianity at
must
the time.
inquire
I mean, if you
about
think
the
about it, like in
actual
1800s,
practice of it. In the East,
It led to a good
Confucianism is a
structure.
system of ethical principles, and Buddhism is a religion. These two teachings provide the essential guidelines for governing a nation and have permeated the hearts of the people there. When it comes to beliefs and practices, who can say which is
Hello.
deeper? Christianity or the doctrines of the East? There are
Oh,
many
that's a cute
strange
baby
aspects
picture.
in Christ's teachings, and it would scarcely need an intelligent scholar to defeat the arguments advanced by Christians and render them silent. However, when we compare the sincerity of their practice to ours, we cannot but feel ashamed. American
Yes, I
people treat foreigners like family or friends, and are very warm and welcoming. For 5 days since our arrival in Boston especially, not only the city itself but also the surrounding towns had been extremely generous in entertaining us. At the time of our departure, their representatives came to the mouth of the bay to give us a farewell feast and see us off. This was sufficient to allow people like us from Eastern countries to reflect on our own past, making us uncomfortable and embarrassed. At this time of enlightenment, waking up from the dream of isolation and bathing in the harmony of worldwide relations, all the people in Japan cannot fail to engrave this on their hearts. From our arrival in San Francisco until our departure from Boston, we traversed the breadth of America, and I would like to summarize what we witnessed. This whole country has adopted European culture, but is filled with its own spirit of independence. Funds for promoting industry have flooded into the land and have multiplied greatly. Although America is comparable to the whole of Europe in size, much of Europe is cold and barren, and the regions flourishing there represent only 1/3 the extent of those prospering in America. Kings, aristocrats, wealthy merchants, and large companies have monopolized Europe's land and assets and have shaped the countries to their own purposes. There was little left for latecomers to develop independently. Such people opened up and pioneered this land of freedom and have nurtured their spirit of enterprise here. Although they say that this country has relied on new creativity, new development, and new immigrants, in reality America is a land of people who, in Europe, felt the urge for independence and self-government most strongly. America is the country where such people have gathered, and where they are now the leaders. The land is huge and rich, and because manufactured goods and agricultural produce are abundant, a tolerant country with a thriving economy has been established. Though many aspects are still rough-hewn, all their efforts have been successful. It must be said that this is what makes America truly America.
And these Japs who came over in that time, they really thought America was pretty damn awesome. Oh, he literally posted that one yesterday. That's what I was recommended. Yo, Trip.
Yo.
Are you ready to hear a video from Voices of the Past?
Yeah. Playing Flight Simulator,
Oh, okay.
but I got it on.
Well, look at the titles. Yeah, okay, let's hear another Japanese perspective of Europe in 1872.
There is a saying in Europe about the British, Americans, French, and Germans. If each is set a task and given 6 hours to do it in, the American will finish his work in 4 hours and fill the remaining time by taking a leisurely stroll. The Frenchman will finish in 4 hours and spend the spare time drinking, singing, and dancing. The Englishman will finish the job in 5 hours and spend the 6th hour working at another task. And the German will not be able to finish the task in 6 hours, but will go on working through the night. It has to be said that this story sums up well the characteristics of the 4 nationalities. That Europe and the eastern parts of Asia have been separate regions since ancient times with hardly any communication between them may be inferred from the customs embodied in the cultures of their races. The people of Europe make their livelihoods through competition with one another, at the same time seeking to satisfy their desire for profit. The character of their political culture may be reduced to 4 elements: the pursuit of personal goals, perseverance, obstinacy, and self-centeredness. The individual nations of the West are fiercely competitive and possess a strong spirit of independence based on their inhabitants' love of country. This is so intense that the nations never miss an opportunity to avenge a slight to their honor, even after hundreds of years. Western people seem to possess a more passionate sense of patriotism than people in the East. Thus, there is a constant stream of British visitors to Belgium who come to pay their respects at the site of the Battle of Waterloo, whereas the French avoid the area completely. During the morning, we sailed along the coast of the region called Wales. All the way to Liverpool, nothing lay ahead but the smooth and boundless sea. The local
here we
people
go.
had divided the land neatly into
Come to
fields
Wales,
and cultivated it
1872 from
thoroughly
Japan.
and meticulously. To the eye, this landscape was a great improvement on the rough and ready American railroads. The area of the United Kingdom as a whole is 121,362 square miles, and according to statistics for 1871, its total population was 31,817,108. Its form, location, size, and population are very similar to those of Japan. For this reason, the people of Britain are in the habit of referring to Japan as the Britain of the East. From the point of view of economic power, however, the disparity is immense. Lands belonging to this country are spread across the 5 continents. In Asia, its possessions include most of India, and in the South Seas, the Australian continent and New Zealand. The British boast that the sun never sets on their empire. The Spanish said the same thing about their own empire when it was
A
at its
hero!
height. Among these, the greatest
The
profits
British
are derived
boast
from
the
India.
sun never
An
sets
American has
on their
criticised
empire.
this state of affairs,
Well,
saying
the
that the
Spanish
British
had
live
boasted
like
the
ants
same
in their
before.
little islands, Japan. For this reason, the people of Britain are in the habit of referring to Japan as the Britain of the East. From the point of view of economic
called
power,
1, 2,
however,
3.
the disparity is immense. Lands belonging
Roger,
to this
Roger.
country are spread across the 5 continents. In Asia, its possessions include most of India, and in the South Seas, the Australian continent and New Zealand. The British boast that the sun never sets on their empire. The Spanish said the same thing about their own empire when it was at its height. Among these, the greatest profits are derived from India. An American has criticised this state of affairs, saying that the British live like ants in their little islands, owning fields in India where they squeeze the fat from the people while growing fatter themselves. They extract profits from their colonies just as one extracts juice from a lemon. They squeeze with all their strength until not a drop is left. This video is sponsored by Magellan TV, the documentary streaming service. Magellan
One,
have
two,
been
three,
great
right?
supporters of the opportunity to do
Sorry,
the same.
2.5.
As always, Magellan TV offers a great parallel to our videos, and it's just one of more than 3 annual. The Englishman's Foot.
Damn, bro, we got competitors?
Yeah.
The people who live in Britain are unable to be idle even for a moment. We heard it said that the Spaniard makes an occupation of sleeping all day, but that the Englishman's foot never rests on the ground for more than a moment. In Spain, therefore, simply taking a shorter siesta is enough to gain one a reputation for hard work. But in London, just walking at an ordinary pace
was that you that got in?
often
It
one
worked.
is an idler.
Yeah, but
As
it
a
was all
result,
blank.
Many
so.
people simply run out of energy, and the numbers of the poor are probably greater than in almost any other country. The fact is that the vast profits which are reaped year by year are all garnered by the rich. There is a comprehensive system of laws to protect them, so that those who lose their fortunes are few, and there are not many who start up businesses all at once or suddenly go
working.
bankrupt.
Oh, yeah.
The weather in Britain is very inconstant. Rain does not come in prolonged downpours or sudden cloudbursts. When the temperature falls a little, the sky becomes overcast for days on end, and a constant drizzle sets in. In the afternoon, we went aboard the Victory, which is moored permanently at the dockside and
Yeah,
manned
they
by
weren't used to the
sailors of
rain
the
in
Royal
London.
Navy.
It's like Vancouver rain.
Furthermore, because it is the ship on which the great British Admiral Nelson died at the historic Battle of Trafalgar
Oh, I got the turtle
off the
again.
coast of Spain, relics of him and many of his papers are preserved on board. His glorious spirit will undoubtedly live for 1,000 years. By gracious permission of the royal household, we were shown round Buckingham Palace. Room after room is adorned with priceless objects and curios, and there is an endless collection of superb pictures whose beauty dazzles the eye. We were not permitted to go into the Queen's dressing room and bedroom. She had departed for her holiday in Scotland, leaving them in the state of disorder in which they had been while she was in residence. So her staff did not want strangers to see them. The present Queen is immensely popular among the British people, revered as a great monarch of a kind rarely seen since ancient times. In the afternoon, accompanied by Sir Harry Parkes and General Alexander, we visited the following places. First, the Tower of London, the ancient castle of London. The upper part of the tower was the Jewel House, where the monarch's jewelled crowns and ceremonial regalia were kept in an apartment comprising several rooms. There was a set of Japanese armour said to have been sent from Japan as a gift to King Charles II. There was also a collection of Japanese swords, but they were inferior pieces of the kind found in any antique shop and not worth looking at.
Damn. Did you hear that?
At 11 in
Yeah.
the morning, we
Japanese
went to the
armor.
British Museum.
The swords
This is
that the
Britain's
Queen had
national
was
museum, a
shit
vast
Japanese
building
pieces.
renowned
And he's
throughout
like, man,
Europe
this is
for
like
its size.
low quality
When one
antique
looks at the
store stuff
objects
in
displayed in
Japan.
its
And they have it
museums,
as like
the
reverend
sequence of
pieces
stages of a
in the
country's
Queen's like
civilization is
armory.
immediately apparent to the eye and can be apprehended directly by
Of
the
course, they
mind.
straight up just
No country
send
has
their
ever
little
sprung into existence
things
fully
as gifts,
formed.
but in reality,
The
they're not
pattern in the
gifts.
nation's fabric is always
Because they're
woven in a
fucking
certain order.
cowards, dude.
The knowledge
Fucking
acquired by
Japanese
those
cowards.
who
That's why they
proceed
kamikaze
is
you
passed
to
on
Pearl
to
Harbor.
those who
Fucking
succeed. The
piece of
understanding
shit.
achieved
Whoa,
by
take it
earlier
easy.
generations is handed down to
There's
later
a lot
generations.
involved in that.
And so
You gotta
we
listen
move
to
forward by degrees.
Dan
This
Carlin's
is what is
Supernova in
called
the East.
progress. Progress does not mean
Dan
discarding what is
Carlin.
old and contriving something which is entirely new. In the forming of a nation, therefore, customs and
his
practices
series on Japan
arise
is the
whose
best.
value is tested by constant use, so that when new knowledge appears, it naturally does so from existing sources. Nothing is better than a museum for showing the stages by which these processes happen. Seeing but once is better than hearing 100 times. Calais is the most northerly port in France and an important terminal for people travelling to and from Britain. We were served lunch in the hotel here. Although Britain and France are separated by the narrowest of straits, it is quite extraordinary how very different their languages sound. Whereas the British talk in subdued tones, when the French speak their voices take on an impassioned note. The two languages have separate origins and are completely different. The food, too, suddenly changes in flavour.
Damn, Blue just
Although the
killed
peoples
his
have had
fucking
constant contact and have
legendary
invaded each other's countries for
something
thousands
that's
of
going.
years, they remained divided by this narrow stretch of water and maintained their own cultural traditions. This shows that, in defining a country's boundaries, the inhabitants' ancient customs are as inalterable as the natural frontiers of mountains and rivers. As our lodgings were right in front of the grand intersection where the Arc de Triomphe stands, a site known in Paris for its imposing majesty, cloud and fog were swept even further from our minds, and our spirits lifted. We visited a factory which makes chocolate, another noted product of France. Chocolate is made from the beans of cacao trees, which grow in the tropics and are cultivated in abundance in such colonies as Martinique and Guadeloupe. The confections here are the best to be found and are wrapped in tin foil and decorated with a lithograph picture pasted on top. These sweets provide nourishment to the blood and soothe the nerves. With the advance of European civilization, standards of food, clothing and housing have all risen, and spending is increasing continuously. It is the Europeans who manufacture and consume the products, but the raw materials are all imported from the fertile lands of Asia, Africa, America and Australia. When some natural commodity is discovered and becomes sought after, it can only be procured in a few places at first, and thus commands an exceptionally high price. The foremost objective of trade should not be to provide limited quantities of expensive goods, but to supply large amounts at low prices. The reason the British and the French promote production of commodities in their colonies is that it is extremely cheap there. It is almost impossible to convey how much customs vary from village to village in the West. During our travels, we mostly passed through cities and rarely stayed in villages, so we had very few opportunities to observe local customs. Nevertheless, there are several which could be mentioned here. The uniform of Scottish soldiers is completely different from what is customary in England. They wear a strange and ancient type of garment, which hangs down their legs.
I want 2 prop paladins
thus
for
leaving 6 or 7 inches around their knees,
Morgrim
completely
Tidewalker.
bare. Now, since Scotland is not far from the Arctic Circle, it must be harmful to the health to expose one's knees like this.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
But
copy.
even in these enlightened times, they stubbornly cling to this practice, simply because it is
Nah, dude, I'm
their
gonna have
custom.
my paladin outside. I
Again,
might
when
switch to
ordinary European women are in their finery, their
Why do you
bodies are
want 2
naked
paladins for
above the
Tidewalker?
breasts. This is
because
simply their custom. Similarly,
the Murlocs
ear
come from multiple
piercing and
directions,
constriction
and
of
in
the
just terms
waist
of
are
maintaining
simply
threat on
customs,
both
but also is the practice of wearing
sides,
shoes
it's hard
which squeeze the
for
foot,
healers to like not
simply
get
because
aggro. So
small
for
feet are
safety's sake, if you
considered more
have consecrates
attractive.
on either side of the boss,
None of these practices are healthy.
it's simpler. It's doable with only 1 prop paladin, but 2 is kind of face roll.
Holland also goes by the name
And
of the
I'm definitely gonna have that in the back of my
To
Holland.
us in Japan, the
Now you go to
country is
Holland.
known as Oranda. Today it is one of the smaller nations in Europe. 300 years ago, the Dutch sailed overseas, establishing colonies in various parts of the world, and Holland's power was unchecked. As our country had rejected diplomatic ties, and Holland was the only nation allowed to send vessels to our shores, the Dutch made vast profits through their control of all Japanese products reaching Europe.
Dude, Trip,
At
I've
a
been
dinner
getting
party
robbed
we
in here.
attended in Holland, there were a number of ladies
Where
of
at?
quality
Where you at?
present. One of
I'm
them,
at your
seeing that all the
outdoor
men in
farming
our
spot.
party had black
I've
hair,
gotten one
black
felt armor
pupils, and a
like an
similar
hour.
bone structure, asked the
What the
Japanese
hell?
minister in Holland in puzzlement if
They
all
nerfed
men
it.
in Japan had the same bone structure.
I'm
as
still getting a
women.
bunch of marks,
On
just
being
haven't gotten an
informed
armor.
that throughout Japan people were like us, she expressed
Yeah, it's fucked up.
astonishment and wondered if it was rather unusual for a country with a population 10 times
I know
that
what the
of
prices are
Holland
if they've gone
to
down.
consist entirely
Because when I was
of the
farming
same
those
race.
were like 20
It is a
GPs.
vulgar notion. The name of the Netherlands.
Every
Across
time I
Japan,
end up
the
like, so
country is known
today
as
I did a dungeon
Oranda.
or whatever, and I got a system of
Today it
8
is one of the
dwarves, so
smaller
whenever I have a
nations
big
in
stack,
Europe.
I'll come out here and
300
just
years
bump
ago,
on.
the Dutch sailed overseas, establishing colonies in various parts of the world. And
Yeah, at
Holland's
least they
power
respawn
was
quick,
unchecked. As our country had rejected diplomatic ties,
probably had to-
and
I probably had to
Holland
kill
was
like
the
1,000
only
of
nation
them.
allowed to send vessels
Those
to our
warlocks.
shores, the Dutch made vast
And I spent
profits
a
through their
time on it.
control
For
of all
250
Japanese
years,
products reaching
the only
Europe.
European nation that
At a
could
dinner
trade with
party we
Japan was
attended in
Holland.
Holland, there were a number of ladies of quality present. One of them, seeing that all the men in our party had black hair,
Was that until
black
Nazi
pupils,
Germany?
and a similar bone structure,
No, that's
asked
until
the Japanese
America
minister
came
in
there with
Poland
like
in
massive
puzzlement if
gunboats
all
and
men
said,
in
"You're gonna
Japan
trade
had the
with
same
us,
bone
or we're gonna have a
structure as we
problem."
had.
And
On
they were
being
like, "All
informed
right,
that
I
throughout
guess we're gonna
Japan,
trade."
people were
Have
like
you not
us,
seen the Tom
she
Cruise
expressed
movie, Aaron?
astonishment and wondered if it was rather unusual
The
for a
stupid
country
Last
with a
Samurai?
population
I
10
actually like
times
that
that of
movie.
Holland
Yeah.
No,
to
Top
consist
Gun, man.
entirely
Like
of the
someone
same
last
race.
time,
It is a vulgar notion, born of a narrow-minded outlook, to suppose that other people, because of some minor difference in bone structure or customs, are not our equals.
Mistakes
And
are
a
made.
notion to which educated people pay no heed.
I got horse seed, bro.
Actually, I gotta go
The
back
first
to
time,
one more time for
and
that
wondered
real
if it was rather unusual for a country with a population 10 times that of Holland to consist entirely the same race. It is a vulgar notion, born of a narrow-minded outlook, to suppose that other people, because of some minor difference in bone structure or customs, are not our equals, and a notion to which educated people pay no heed. The first time that we in Japan heard the name of this country was probably when a Prussian warship arrived in Nagasaki
Prussia.
in
I don't
1860.
even know a lot
All
about
that the
Prussia.
people in our country knew about Prussia was that it had a reputation in Europe as a strong nation. This is the leading country in Europe in terms of alcohol consumption.
They
For
didn't
each
teach you
Prussian
guys
drinks
about
on
Prussia and
average
shit?
4 hectoliters of beer a year,
No,
while people in
but in
Saxony
the 1800s, they
drink an
drank
average
the
of
most
6
alcohol in the
hectoliters.
world.
It was all very different from the customs we observed in Britain and France. Even
Wasn't
inside the theatres,
that before?
men and
Was that
women
Russia
do not
before
refrain
Franz
from
Ferdinand was
drinking
killed or
beer.
whatever?
I thought it was like
Before
Germany
This
that.
evening we
or
had an
something.
invitation to
Oh, yeah,
dinner
before
with
it.
the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Prince Bismarck. During the dinner this evening, the Prince referred to the time when he was young, saying, "Nations these days all appear to conduct relations with amity and courtesy, but this is entirely superficial. For behind this facade lurks mutual contempt and a struggle for supremacy. As you gentlemen know, when I was a young boy, Prussia was weak and poor. The state of this small nation at that time fills me with such intense indignation that I cannot dispel the image from my mind. First, so-called international law, which was supposed to protect the rights of all nations, afforded us no security at all. When there was a dispute, the great powers would invoke international law and stand their ground if they stood to benefit. But if they stood to lose, they would simply change direction and resort to military force. Consequently, in the face of maneuvering with flattery and contempt by the great powers, we invariably failed to protect our right of independence, no matter how hard we tried. Incensed by this deplorable state of affairs, we gathered
A lot of
our
posts
strength
about
as a
Drew
nation and
Barrymore
strove
get
to
flagged
cultivate
as arts
our
and crafts
patriotic
on
spirit. In the
Reddit.
decades since then up to the present, all we have ever set out to achieve is simply to
Yeah,
uphold
'cause
the
Drew.
autonomous right of every nation. Nevertheless, we hear constant expressions of horror from
Get
other
it?
countries at the way Prussia has used force.
Did you hear that
They
Britney Spears is
censure us
Catholic
for
now?
rejoicing
It's
in our
not even a
military
joke, though. It's literally
prowess
true.
and for depriving people of their
I'm
sovereign
not kidding.
rights. We hear of the distress caused to nations
Like, I
by
just
the way
found a
Britain
post
and
and,
France abuse their
and someone
power,
was like, why did
coveting
this get
overseas
flagged as
colonies and
arts and
exploiting their
crafts?
resources. Neither must you, gentlemen, relax your vigilance. For having
But
been
go ahead,
born in
tell
a
your
small
joke,
nation
you
myself and knowing its state of affairs intimately, this is a
not a
point
joke.
I understand most
Tell me.
deeply. So while Japan
Britney
may
Spears is
now
Catholic
have
now.
amicable diplomatic relations with a
Oh,
number
that
of
doesn't mean
countries,
much.
its
Just as
friendship
Catholic
with
as Joe
Germany
Bud.
should be the closest of all,
Our
because of the
warriors
true
have
Or
respect
Catholic
in
in the
which we
sense
hold
she's
the
getting
right
diddled by
of
a priest.
self-government. For the envoys listening during the banquet, these were significant
I don't
words
know.
indeed, and we appreciated the chance to learn from the prince's eloquence, knowing full well what a master tactician he is in the world of politics.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
It was in Russia that we ventured into the remote
I just bitched about
in
a
the
trip and
course
I
of
just
our
got 2 in the
peregrinations
past 2
around
pills.
America and Europe. As we
Damn.
travelled steadily eastwards after leaving
Yeah, I know. I
Paris,
would go out there for like an
signs
hour
of
and get
civilization
like 3,000 or
became
4,000
ever more
reps in an
sparse.
hour.
For all
So it was
the
like
talk
it was
about
it's what made me
civilization and
farm me. It wasn't
development,
that bad.
when
But I
the
was doing
whole
really
world is
quick.
taken into consideration, these notions amount to no more than the
Yeah, it's
light
pretty
of a
cool when I
star
can like
on
one
the
shot if I
ground
get a good
in one
rock.
corner of the world.
Yeah.
Fully 90% of all dry land is still desolate. Here, only the nobility are at all advanced, and the common people.
I've been at
slaves.
349 out of 350 for my 2-minute
The
mace
eastern
skill
races
this
are
whole
less
time. It's
inclined
pissing
to
me off.
greed. They submit themselves
That's
to
fucked.
moral
You should have
governance.
like, if you have any
Their
intellect,
sovereigns are
you like
conscientious
any
and
like
frugal,
farming type
and thus have
like,
raised their people to
fucking
great
shit that you can
heights.
throw on, that'll help.
The Western races, by
Like the
contrast,
internet
are
or
given to
something.
rampant greed and are slow to correct their conduct. As for their rulers, it would not be a lie to say that they tax the people on their lands heavily and make themselves wealthy by keeping
I wonder
the
if I
revenue
should try
for
doing like a
themselves.
split.
This
like
explains why the
Frost
notion
and
of
Fire or
freedom
something,
has sprung
maybe.
forth
No,
among
Frost
the
gets
peoples of
fucked.
Europe, and why
Maybe
Europe is
lightning and
seething
fire?
with the views of those who would wipe out the rights of sovereigns
Water gets
and
fucked with my
establish the
fire
rights of the
thing.
people. The
So
peoples
maybe
of the East and the
rocket
West
fire?
are different in character. They're almost
Rocket.
opposites.
How does the wheel work, Simon?
I suppose that the most powerful countries in Europe are the five
Why
monarchies
does the
of Britain,
why is the
France,
only arrow in the
Germany,
wheel
Austria,
that points
and
in
Russia.
the fighting
The most
one?
influential are
points
Britain
to
and
the
France,
silver
while the
Pokeball.
most backward of them is Russia. People in the
Yeah,
West
you're
cannot
right.
help but seeing Russia
Right?
as a country
Like, what
which has
does it
risen
mean?
one notch above Turkey. And yet the efforts the Russians are making to advance are inspired simply by the desire to bestow upon their country a luster similar to that of the leading countries. This is the nature of Russia's reaction to Europe. Hitherto, the Japanese have feared Russia more than Britain or France. In the popular mind, Britain and France seem to be trading countries like Holland, while Germany and Austria seem to be countries struggling for power in Europe. Meanwhile, Russia, the largest and most powerful country, seems to be perpetually stalking the land in a rapacious mood and nursing ambitions of conquering the world. Yet, if so-called amity between nations, whereby nations understand one another and the strong and weak protect one another, is considered to be superficial, just a
Damn,
mask,
like last QT
then
sent me a
surely
scroll of
it is
protection
not
with a
Russia
homie.
alone which we ought
Oh,
to be
yeah.
suspicious of. The
He's pretty
expansion
cool,
of their
dude.
territorial possessions by Britain and France offers us a true example of countries which
Fire
control the
spin,
continents
dude,
of the
for
world.
Rapidash.
Germany is not yet powerful overseas, but how can one say that this means it does not have ambitions? If one
Every
suspects
second
foreign
fire spin
countries of being
damage
wolves,
each nearby
what
Pokemon.
country is beyond suspicion of being a wolf? When it comes to determining strategic policy, we should have a clear grasp of the true situation in the world and ponder accurately whether we should be most friendly to Britain and France, to Russia, or to the states of Germany and Austria. Rome contains many remains dating back 2,000 years. With gazing at them, one cannot but feel wonder. At that time, London and Paris were areas where barbarians lived, where brambles and weeds grew unchecked in marshy areas and wild beasts wandered at will. A place such as Germany, for example, was mostly made up of forests or plains where the winters were harsh. Some people painted their bodies or tattooed
Uh-oh,
themselves.
Simon.
Others wore animal skins,
shit.
and they roamed
What's going on
freely,
over there?
ignorant as they were.
Too much
When they took local produce in tribute
Pokemon
to
in my
Rome
dad.
and saw the splendor of Roman civilization
All
and
the
the
Pokemon in
magnificence
your
of the
den,
city, they
488
voluntarily
interest. You're
reformed
leaking, bro.
themselves
What's going on?
and joyously exchanged their habit of idleness for better ways.
Dude, I'm
What finally
overcome
brought
with this
Germany to
YouTube
its
video.
present prosperous state was precisely the elements which the people had derived from the culture of ancient Rome. Our party had recently visited the capitals of Britain and France, and now coming to Rome, we found dust and rubbish blowing around and considerable numbers of street urchins. Thus have the wild, thorny bushes of ancient times become the civilization of today, and the prosperity of yesteryear become the degeneration of today. It seems to me that the vigor of European civilization has natural limits,
Degens of
as
today,
if one
bro.
part must be in decline while another part is thriving. If Britain, France and Germany are flourishing now, it is because their progress has depended on elements which originated in Rome. This became abundantly clear when I saw the city for myself. It is said that people who talk about European civilization have all had to come here once to ponder its history for themselves. How true it is that the achievements of any civilization are not simply a matter of a day and a night. Rather, they are conceived thousands of years earlier and only much later emerge in all their brilliance. East and West lie so far apart that they were beyond each other's reach even had they wished to meet. And generally they are at variance due to their vastly different origins. As we travelled around Western Europe, we did indeed feel that all men are brothers, no matter where they come from. Yet if one casts one's mind back 400 years, nobody then could have imagined for a moment that the lands of Europe would become full and that there might be other lands lying to the east of India. Venice is a maritime city in the northeastern part of Italy and consists of a group of islands jutting out of the water at the end of the Adriatic Sea. It is called the City of Islands. On this day, we immediately boarded a gondola after emerging from the station. It felt as if we had placed ourselves in a picture of a river. The houses and shops jostling together were reflected in the water. The air was clean, the sunlight pleasant, and the water, suffused with an azure tint, was marked by gentle ripples. The boat glided through the dim and misty air, and it felt as if one was being wafted into the sky.
They're sinking, man.
It is said that travellers who come here and share in these pleasures are usually too enraptured to think of going home.
They're sinking hard.
Each European country has its strengths and weaknesses in commerce, but the people there all wish for commerce to thrive, just as people in the East wish for an abundant harvest. The invitations which our embassy received were prompted by nothing other than this: a desire to promote friendly relations and thereby increase trade with Japan. When we had audiences with emperors, kings and queens, all were received by foreign ministers. The theme of their addresses was invariably trade. They entertained us at lavish banquets, where the conversation always turned to trade.
Oh, Blue got
When we
pumped that.
visited town halls, chambers of commerce and commercial exchanges, the speakers would unfailingly express a hope for friendly relations and increased trade with Japan. When they did so, all present would wave their hats in the air, stamp their feet, and cheer. A high regard for commerce permeates the innermost hearts of all Europeans.
On November 14th, Mr. Kurusu arrived in...
Oh, that one could be interesting.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
Which one?
Oh, sorry. I'm just going through next one on this channel. Let me upgrade first. Upgrade. He's going to get his money.
You turn your Marks Severus up to Exalted or only